Hello, testing. Thank you. Thank you everybody for coming here today to join us. My name's Nikita Jayasuriya. I lead business development for a company called Avery Dennison. We're going to talk about the intersection of football and culture. But to just set the scene and tell you a little bit about who Avery Dennison is, we are the largest supplier of embellishments for team sport football kits on the planet. And when I talk about embellishments, we talk about everything from the crest, which is the heart of the football team, to the sponsor logo on the chest, to the names and numbers and the personalization on the back of the jerseys. We work with some of the biggest clubs and leagues in the world, from the Premier League to Real Madrid to MLS. And we also, make the badges for the Italian national team as well. And the reason why we're here today is to really help promote how our Center of Excellence Manufacturing is made in Italy here today. I'm going to pass it over and introduce you to our three guests here today to continue the conversation. So I'll pass it over to Victoire and let her introduce herself and tell us a little bit more about what she does. And yeah, over to you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for having me today. I know that this type of conferences, there's a lot of content thrown at you, and hopefully this panel is one that you'll remember and you'll learn something from. As Nikita said, I'm the founder and the co-CEO of Mercury 13, which is an investment group that's dedicated 100% to women's professional football clubs. So we're essentially a multi-club ownership group in the space. We started a little over 2 years ago, and in that time we've acquired 2 women's football clubs. The first one here in Italy, Como Women, playing in the Serie A Femminile. We sit second on the table now for the first time in the history of the club, which obviously it's very early in the season, but we're very, very excited about it. It's an independent club. There's no men attached to it, so all of this is really important, and I'm sure we'll talk about it a little later. More recently, I think it was about 6 weeks ago, we announced a majority stake in Bristol City Women, which is a WSL2 team in the UK. First time in the history of women's football that a women's team is carved out from a men's team. And essentially our vision and mission is to bring football to the other half of the world, to women. We see that the sport is changing dramatically, and we believe that through the work that we do at Mercury 13, we will be able to capture this new type of fan.
Thank you. And over to you, Bernardo.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for the invitation. I'm the managing director for the Portuguese League. We just started as a new board of directors around 7 months ago. I'm responsible internally in the league for all the commercial and sponsorship assets, the internationalization of the brand Portuguese Liga Portugal, and also responsible for all the activation, promotion, ticketing, fan experience, ambassadors, influencers, and so on. So a big part of the pie. In Liga Portugal, as I said before, we just started. We have in our hands the centralization of the rights from 2028. So this is the main vertical that we are working on. Really happy to be here and to talk about not only the 90 minutes of the game, but all the game after and before the 90 minutes.
Yeah, the culture, the culture around it all. And over to you, Luca.
Hi everyone, I'm Luca, Marocchi. I'm the director of Calcetto Eleganza. I think that no one knows what Calcetto Eleganza is, so I think I have to do a small speech about it. So Calcetto Eleganza now is a creative agency about sports, not only football, also running, cycling, etc., etc. Calcetto Eleganza is located in Milan, and was born 10 years ago as a small football team of friends, and we are a little bit social addicted, so we photograph ourselves, our match, etc., etc. And after 10 years we are here. We are really proud to be in this panel. So we are a creative agency. We work with a lot of brands as Adidas, Luca, etc. And we like to do sports projects about communication, photo, and also lifestyle and design.
Amazing. Yeah, I think what you're doing in Milan is like the epicenter of culture for football and really, where it's leading today. So we're going to explore a little bit about football and culture and how it intersects and crosses identity, self-expression, fashion, as well as digital innovation. We're going to touch on that as well, and how it's reshaping both men's and women's footballs today. So, football as an identity platform. Victoire, I'm going to come over to you. First of all, Mercury 13 and Como FC Women building a new model for women's game, as you know, one rooted in identity and empowerment. How do you use football as a platform for cultural expression?
So I think it starts by accepting probably a truth that only time will tell how valid it was. But I believe that football has been a platform for social change from its inception. It is the most global sport in the world, and it touches people in every country on this planet. And when you look at women's football, you see this beautiful opportunity to then include this other half of the world in this sport. And so for us, and the momentum that we are seeing in women's sports more generally as well, is very much tied to a gender equality movement. The fact that women are now playing on the pitch and they're doing it at the same level as men, that the stadiums are being filled by fans that look very different to the ones that the men's game has attracted for over a century. All of those are indicators that the world is changing, and football, if anything, is a mirror of that change. And so Mercury, and throughout my career, because before Mercury I have done a few other things in the sport, I've really realized that there was a gap, right? The clubs that existed and have existed for over 100 years were built by men for men. They were sold and marketed and designed for the male football fan. And so there was an opportunity to rethink that for women. So I had been a football fan my whole life. I'm Argentinian, for those that can recognize my accent. And I'm a huge Racing fan, which is a team there. And I grew up going to a stadium. Now, I was one of the only women in that stadium growing up, even though it was a huge part of my identity. And so as I continued to grow and then start my professional career, I realized that there was this gap, that football clubs weren't speaking to women like myself. And then as I got a bit older, I also learned how much money I like to spend, and how these football clubs never really thought about me as a consumer, and how that, all together with the idea of gender equality and how football can really advance societal change, with the immense financial opportunity that female fans could bring to the game, Mercury 13 was born.
Yeah, I think it's a great sort of narrative, and it really shows like the women embracing it and that empowerment and that movement of really owning it and owning their part of football. I think is amazing. And then looking at Eleganza, how do you capture identity and creativity through the projects that you do today?
Yeah, we think that, as you said before, football is not only a game. So football is not only a game inside a pitch, but like, for example, design, interior design. We work a lot of in our shooting with a lot of stuff. For example, a sofa is not only a sofa. The Soriano of Cassina or the Vasili chair of Marcel Breuer are not only objects. So we want to treat our communication in our shooting, our production as well. So we think that football has a lot of details, a lot of skins. So we try with our social community, with our social teams, to explain football in different way. So yeah. I think is the key.
I mean, looking at this, when you think about the creativity and identity, and you think about how the teams are expressing it today, I think like teams like Juventus have done it with their third kit, where they did a collaboration with Palace skateboards. So you're taking skateboards and football and combining them, and as well PSG did it with Jordan for their third kit. So you're taking basketball and football and combining them. So yeah, interesting to, yeah.
Yeah, you already see Palace 3 years ago collaborates with Adidas, after with Nike
Yeah.
in the recent time. So we look a lot of collaboration in football, in lifestyle, but not only, also in in all the sector of the life, also the food, also the fashion as well, in all the type of things in the social community as well. Collaboration are very, very important. So also brand want to mix their personality, their type of communication with other to try to approach a lot of community together.
Yeah, thank you. And then yeah, Bernardo, so from a league standpoint with Liga Portugal, how do you preserve that local identity while you're evolving the brand globally?
Yeah, the football in Portugal is culture. It's part of our DNA. If I ask for a Portuguese to rank all the sports in Portugal from 1 to 3, probably the answer it will be football, football, and football, because football is the king sport in Portugal. With that said, of course, we need to act locally, and we have a big problem in the Portuguese league to bring more fans to the stadiums, and this is in our top of priorities to try to solve out. We create a partnership with Continente. Continente is the #1 retailer platform in Portugal, with more than 5 million users monthly. And we have like tickets with 50% of discount for all the customers from Continente, in a way to bring more customers to the stadiums. We are creating fan zones for the smaller clubs, activations before the game and after the game, with a lot of digital and technology in place to try to become more interesting for families, for friends. And this is on top of our priorities to keep this culture stronger in the football fields outside the stadiums, outside the game itself.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you. Yeah, so, the jersey is really a powerful tool for storytelling, I believe, for all the clubs. And yeah, leading on to that, as we, lead to the rise of personalization and self-expression, fans really want to be part of the story and feel part of the club. And I think, personalization is a great way of owning that jersey and being part of that community, let's say. So, I'd like to pass it over to Victoire. And, in women's football, fans often feel personally connected to the story. As I was talking about again with empowerment, how are the clubs like Como FC Women enabling that sense of inclusion and belonging?
So I think it's a really interesting question, because at least what I believe is the most exciting things about women's football is that we get to rewrite rules that have been around for a really long time. And we have a lot more flexibility and openness from our fans to rewrite those rules. So one of the first things that we did when we acquired Como in March of 24, which feels like it was 25 years ago, but it was just last year, is that we completely rebranded the team. So the team prior to our coming in was, navy blue and gold, and was designed in a very kind of a traditional football club type of way with a crest. And we said, well, why is that the case? And can we do something that feels more feminine, that feels more connected to Lake Como, which is obviously the place where the club represents. And so we ended up hiring this agency that only does luxury projects. And we told them, look, we want this crest, this club, to be relevant today, but also in 100 years from now. And every rule can be broken. Club doesn't need to have 2 colors, it doesn't have to have the normal crest. It can, be very much tied to fashion, lifestyle, do whatever you want. And I remember specifically when hiring this agency that I didn't want any football fans. So I had a lot of agencies that are like, football is my life, like this is the project of my dreams. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, but if you're a football fan, you bring a baggage with you that won't be able to let you, think freely and openly about what the project could look like. And the result is what the Como Woman brand stands today. I mean, this was a little independent club that nobody had ever heard of. Now, a year and a half in, we've been everywhere from GQ to Vanity Fair to the BBC and CNN. I mean, you can name the media outlet. We ended up also signing Alicia Lemon, the most followed women's footballer in the world, and this little club, through identity and through branding and through communicating itself in a very, very different way, now became, one of the most interesting properties in sport.
I think that's interesting that it's in vogue, literally, because it's not the usual outlet for football, let's say, and you'd probably see a magazine like In Vogue trying to sort of move away from that sort of market, but you've like you said, rejigged the whole thought process and looked at it from a different angle, which is always worth doing. And
you know that this is a funny story, but when we signed Alicia. Obviously Gazzetta Sport, all the Italian traditional sport media outlets, they wanted to write the story, and we said, well, actually we're going to give the exclusive to Vanity Fair. And the Vanity Fair people looked at us and they said, we've never reported on a player transfer. Why are you coming to us? And we said, well, you have a very, very, very famous footballer coming to this small club. There's a great story to tell, and there's always a first time. And then that's what happened. Vanity Fair broke the story.
Amazing. So Bernardo, leagues, have a huge opportunity to deepen the fan engagement. And I know right now you've just done an overhaul with a unified font for the back of the jerseys and everything like that. How can personalization, even through in-venue activations, help deliver value to clubs and sponsors alike?
Yeah, as you said before, the personalization for the fan, they pass from a customer perspective to be part of the game. And we have some interesting stories to share. For example, Victoire SC already included NFC tag for the fans to go to the mobile phone and to embrace a new experience with a special video for collectibles. Sporting already shared for the next season, the fans will be able to pick the colors and the design of the jersey, the third jersey of Sporting for the next season. So this kind of engagement content, I think it will be the future. We aim as the Portuguese league to become the more digital league in Europe and probably worldwide. This is our goal. This is our goal, and I think this kind of partnerships with Avery Dennison and these kind of new technologies is the future for the Portuguese league.
Yeah. It's important to find that that USP, that unique selling point, and I think leading with digital could be a really interesting way to lead that. So, and then with you, Luca, your league celebrates individuality, creativity. How do you see the fans using personalization? We've got some examples of it today at our stand. Please come visit. Yeah, both on match days and beyond. So, with your leagues.
Yeah, I think that in a lifestyle world where a lot of things seems the same, same T-shirt, same sweatshirt, also in the routine life, I think that the personalization is a huge opportunity, as you said before, to put the fan in the front of the field and not only behind the scene. So it's really important also for express their personality. It's important also respect the credibility of each brand. So I think that maybe if a brand have a huge story, a huge type of shirt, type of color, is correct to respect all the story of a club. But I think that the personalization is a huge important tools to make the fans not only a fan but also a producer of their story. So it's really important.
Thank you. Yeah, so as culture evolves and technology is now amplifying that connection, turning the jersey itself into a digital experience, we really want to talk about, from product to platform, and, talking about a connected jersey, a digital experience. And I know one of the common threads with all of you on stage is that we have this digital identity and digital experience intertwined into some of the jerseys from the leagues to the clubs. And yeah, I'd like to ask Victoire, Mercury 13's NFC-enabled season ticket. I really want to talk about that. And the jersey was a great example of innovation meeting purpose. I'd love to hear, how that came about. What was the reaction of the fans, and maybe explain a little bit more about it.
I was meant to have the jersey with me, but it didn't make it. But you can look at it online. But it was, I think it all started with a crazy idea, like it often does, where we, for the first time in the history of the club, had a personalized jersey. So Nike came in as a founding partner last year, and as of season 2 and 3, they would personalize a jersey for us. They designed this gorgeous jersey that we're using today on the pitch. And for the launch of the jersey, we wanted to do something different. And so I had always had this idea of like, what if buying a jersey was equal to buying a Birkin bag? Obviously a lot cheaper, but the same experience of, going to Hermes and like having, this very one-on-one curated moment where, they show you this product and tell you the story of the product. And so I call my friends at Avery and pitch them this kind of wild idea of that we would recreate the same vibe, but with a football club. And so we then went to Bulgari Hotel in London, and we made the space where there was a trained luxury associate that would bring the different people into the room and tell them the story of the club, of the players, of what the crest represented, unveiled their jersey, so these people saw their jersey for the first time before anyone else, and it was all in this personalized custom, there was custom chocolates with the logo of the club and all this like beautiful details. And then for the pièce de résistance, like we wanted to do something that would really blow people away. We took them into this separate room, and we told them, look, this is one of 10 jerseys. And if you tap your phone here, and it's like a little Mercury 13 jog tag that's at the bottom of the jersey, you will unlock a season-long pass to every home match that Como Women plays. But not only that, you would actually also get access to the pitch. So any of these 10 fans that have this jersey can walk into any Como Women game and walk straight into the pitch, where they can talk to the players, where they can, be a part of the action and take photos and create content and just really be one of those first 10 real super fans of the club. And it was an experience that delighted people. I mean, their reactions were like really worth everything that all the work we put into it. We had people crying. We had people like could not believe that, they had this chance. And then I think we inspired a lot of other clubs to follow suit. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love the way that the analogy of comparing it to a Birkin and again flipping it all on its head, and how does retail look to a woman as compared to a man, and really engaging with that. Super interesting. So and then Bernardo, over to you. From a league standpoint, I know that the Liga Portugal badge is digitally, active or enabled, and I know you've done some digital stuff in the past with Liga Portugal. There's an opportunity to use that digital connectivity to unlock more value for partners and sponsors. How do you see that evolving for Liga Portugal today, and the value behind that? And as you were talking about the digital future and your USP.
Yeah. Victoire already shared that is a crazy idea. For me, it's not a crazy idea, it's brilliant. In this kind of inspiration for a point of view of a league is exactly what we are aiming for, to present to the clubs these kind of solutions. Because as a league, we don't have the right to change the world in one day. But if you bring the right partners and we have the right idea, we can present to all the clubs these kind of solutions, not only for the season passes, but we already start some conversations for the badge could get like a free beer without alcohol, because unfortunately in Portugal we don't have alcohol in the stadiums yet. But this kind of technology, new stuff to present to the clubs is the future for the Portuguese league. We started 7 months ago, and we already launched a fantasy league with more than 75K users in a weekly basis. This kind of data, this kind of technology, this kind of digitalization is our priority to growth internally and to aim for the centralization of the rights from 2028 for a biggest value for our clubs.
Yeah, I think just when I'm thinking about it, the easiest way in my head it could work is, you know, you have an NFC chip in your sleeve badge, and you're like, what's the league table? You tap the badge, and all of a sudden the league table comes up. You know, just a simple way. But as it's, you know, we've seen Victoire do it, and you're looking into it now. It's going to be mainstream within the next, you know, 2 to 3 years for sure. And everyone's just got to figure out that digital strategy and how they can enable it and really engage with the savvy fan today, who is digitally engaged and digitally savvy. So, Luca, over to you. I know, you know, Avery, Dennison, and our collaboration with Eleganza, we collaborated on a digital-enabled jersey as well. How do you see how we can involve that digital interaction with you and your community and fan base at a local level?
Yeah, as you said before, the shirt some years ago was only a uniform to play on the pitch. Now we go on Milan and Cogevina, Emanuele, or what else. You can see also normal people with a football jersey with no match in this day. So it's a product, a piece of fashion, and the digital approach can be a huge opportunity also to share on the social media photo, video, also to personalize your experience, not only during a football match on the pitch, but also in a small football match with friends, also in a shooting community. You can have a lot of opportunity to use these digital tools of your shirt.
Yeah, amazing. So, you know, we've really sort of to wrap this all up, really talked about football culture and technology and how it's all, you know, heavily intertwined, and how the opportunities for connection and digital connection has never been greater than now. You know, so I'd just like to say thank you for everyone, and thank you for you guys for all being here as well. We would love to talk further after this discussion, and you're all welcome to come to our stand where we're customizing Eleganza jerseys with NFC chips on, and so we can talk about that journey as well. But yeah, thank you all for joining me, and thank you everyone for being here, and look forward to yeah, continuing the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much.